if you're taking CAT 2022 and you want to crack it, you want to get the 99th percentile and get through an IIM or another top B school, then you're at the right place. Because I'm going to break down the 99th percentile for you, and I'm also going to give you 3 strategies, and you can choose whichever strategy will work best for you based on your strengths. So before we come to the percentile, let's understand a few concepts about CAT. So the first is your CAT score. Now when you take the exam, for every correct answer, you get plus 3 marks. And for every multiple choice question that you get wrong, you get -1. And for every type in the answer or theta question that you get wrong, you get 0 marks. So plus 3 for every correct answer and -1 or 0 for every incorrect answer depending on the question type. Based on that, you will get your overall raw score, which is the sum of the scores that you get in each of the 3 sections, VARC, DILR and Quant. Now, based on this, there will also be something called normalization and the scale score. But since that's not something in our hands, let's consider the raw score. The numbers will be pretty similar. And if you want to understand more about normalization, we do have a video where we've explained that. So watch out for that one. Now, once you have your CAT score, based on the number of people that have scored the same mark or less than you, you get your CAT percentile. So your 99th percentile doesn't mean that you're getting 99% marks. It simply means that whatever marks you've scored overall, 99% have scored either the same marks as you or less than you. So of the 2 lakh odd people, about 99% or exactly 99% rather are going to have scored less than or equal to you. So you get your overall CAT percentile, which is what we are speaking about when we speak about the 99th percentile. And you also get a percentile for each section based on how many people have scored less than or equal to you. So that's your CAT percentile. Now once your overall CAT percentile and your sectional percentiles meet a minimum threshold, they are at least a particular percentile, then the IIMs will consider you and they will calculate what's called your composite score. Your CAT score has the highest weightage in your composite score for almost every institute. But aside from these, IIMs and other B schools are also going to look at things like your other academic scores, your 10th, 12th and your undergrad scores, your work experience, academic diversity and a few other factors. And the weightages are going to be different. Now, if you want to understand more about these parameters that go into the composite score and what each institute looks at, we do have a separate video based on, what the IIMs have considered in 2021. So I'll leave that link for you in the description as well. But for now, let's look at what are these minimum percentiles that you need to get so that they calculate your composite score. So now this table that you have in the screen is giving you the minimum percentile that you need on an overall basis and the minimum for each section. So only if you get, let's say, a minimum of 80th percentile overall and 70th percentile in each section will IIM Ahmedabad even calculate your composite score. Similarly, if you look at IIM Calcutta, you need to get a minimum of 85th percentile overall and 80th percentile in both verbal and DILR, but 75th percentile is fine for quant. So what does this mean? Let's say you got the 95th percentile and let's say you got 82 in verbal, 82 in DILR, but 74 in quant. So because you've not cleared the minimum required for IIM Calcutta, they are not going to actually calculate your composite score. So these are the minimum percentiles that you absolutely need to get. Also bear in mind that if you just get these, it doesn't mean that you are definitely going to get an interview call, because they are just going to calculate your composite score. Once they calculate the composite score, they're going to call the top so many students depending on how many seats they have and so on, right? But this is our first threshold that we absolutely need to clear. So if you look at this, you can see that the highest which is there is we need to at least get 90th percentile overall. That is something which both IIM Lucknow and IIM Indore are looking for. And then for the sections, we need to get at least the 85th percentile in verbal, in DILR as well as quant. Again, that's something which IIM Lucknow has, that is the highest. So we are not concerned about this 90th percentile because of course we are looking to get at least 99. But this 85 is the bare minimum that we need to get in each section. So let's look at what scores you need to get for you to get this 85th percentile. So what I've done here is I've broken down the 85th percentile based on what it was for CAT 2021. So assuming that CAT 2022 is also going to be a 2-hour paper with a similar number of questions and at a similar level of difficulty, you can expect this sort of mark to get you the 85th percentile. So in verbal, if you get 24 marks, then that is something which is getting you the 85th percentile. So how do you get 24 marks? Now you could either get 8 questions correct. So you attempt 8 questions, you get them all correct. That sounds pretty easy, right? 8 questions, you just do a couple of RCs, or you even do an RC and a few non-RC questions, and that's it. You're at least getting the minimum. Of course, we're not looking to get the minimum, but the main thing here is it's pretty difficult to get a 100% accuracy in verbal, right? Now in quant you can still get it, even in DILR you can get it, but there nobody finishes the section. Very few people will actually be able to finish the quant section or finish the DILR section. But there's a fair number of people that are able to finish the verbal section. And along with that, there's also a bit of subjectivity, because this is verbal, there is the examiner's interpretation, there is our interpretation. So it's likely that there'll be some errors which come up. So a better rule of thumb is you look to get at least 10 questions correct, and then you can get up to 6 MCQ questions wrong. And if some of the errors that you have are theta questions, like your jumbled paragraphs or your odd ones out, you can even have some more errors, right? So anywhere between 8 to 16 questions, depending on your accuracy, is a good rule of thumb for you to at least clear the 85th percentile in verbal. Now in DILR and quant, the marks that you require for your 85th percentile is actually a little lower. So for DILR, a score of about 15 marks, which is to say 5 questions correct. So if you do a 6 question case, for example, and you maybe you get all 5 questions correct and 1 question you've not attempted, or what is more likely is you do a couple of cases and you have some errors. So you can do maybe 2 4 question cases and get 7 questions correct, or you can even go all the way up to 15 questions where you are very close to a 50% accuracy. So that's like a worst case scenario where you get 7 questions correct but 6 questions wrong. Maybe you've interpreted one case incorrectly and you get an entire case wrong or something like that, but still you can definitely get the 85th percentile. You need a similar score in quant as well, 15 marks, so that's 5 questions correct again. Or at the other end of the spectrum is if you've done about 13 questions, and then in 13 questions, if you're getting about 7 questions right, that's still going to be enough. Again, I leave that thought with you that in quant, you should try and increase your accuracy as much as possible, but this is the bare minimum that you can get and still get above the 85th percentile based on the previous 2 years pattern. So in total, that's giving us an overall score of 54. Of course, that we're not concerned with because we're not looking to get overall 85, we're looking to get 99. So now that we have the minimum out of the way and you're at least getting 24, 15, 15, let's get into the strategies, and now you can pick and choose and go with the strategy based on your strength. So the first strategy is, if like me, verbal is your strong point. Now that's a great place to be in because verbal is typically the highest scoring section, and we just saw even for 85th percentile, the score we need in verbal is higher. So for you to get the 99th percentile, you need to get somewhere around 100 marks. Somewhere in the 95 to 100 will typically get you the 99th percentile. So that's about 50% marks. So out of those 100 marks, you can look to get almost close to half or 45 marks from verbal. So how do you do that? You can get 15 questions correct, but we just discussed that's something which is a little difficult. So little more realistic option is you are doing somewhere around, let's say 20 to 24 questions and you're getting about 17 questions correct. What this means is you are almost finishing the entire paper, right? So let's say, you're doing all the 4 RCs. So that's 16 questions and another 8 questions. Some errors will happen, but that is fine. So you'll still get a very high score. So what this means is you've got to work on your accuracy, you've got to work on your speed, and you also need to work on your comfort across genres. If you're looking at verbal to get you, the bulk of your marks, you cannot avoid any RC saying that, oh, this is not an area that I'm comfortable with. So if you need reading practice for, some of the tougher genres, let's say maybe abstract is not your strength or something like that, I leave the link to our Telegram channel in the description. You can join that because every day we share a reading link, which is at CAT level, and we also share the analysis. So how I have read it and what are the key points, maybe the author's viewpoint that I found out. So hopefully that is something which will help you. So if you're not already on the Telegram channel, join it ASAP and start practicing your verbal, right? Okay, so back to this. Now that we've got 45 marks in verbal, so what should our aim be for DILR? So DILR you can look to get somewhere around 25 marks, right? So if you do 2 4-question cases, that's 8 questions in total. If you get them all right, 8 into 3, 24, that's pretty close to this 25 marks. Or if you do a 4-question and a 6-question case, then you can still get maybe 1 question wrong, or you can leave a question. Or if you're doing 3 cases, even if you've misinterpreted an entire case and got it entirely wrong, you can still get these marks. You can look to get a slightly higher score in quant. If you're able to get 2 or 3 cases in DILR, you'll definitely be able to get 10 questions in quant. So 10 questions correct is going to get you 30 marks. But if you make some calculation mistakes or you've got some answers wrong, you can take it all the way up to somewhere around 18 questions. So if you get 12 questions correct and you get 6 MCQs wrong, or even a few more theta questions wrong, it will still get you to 30 marks. I'll still leave the thought with you. Try and make sure your accuracy for quant is as high as possible. Try and avoid silly mistakes. If you're making silly mistakes, we do have a video on how to avoid it, so you can watch that. The more practice you do, the more analysis you do, the more you note down the type of errors you get, the better your accuracy is going to be, and you have enough time for this for sure. So 45, 25 and 30, that's getting us to a total of 100 marks, and that's going to get us above 99 percentile looking at the current scenario. So this is the first strategy if verbal is your forte. Now for those of you where you're a little weak in verbal but your quant is where you get the high marks, you can look to get a slightly lower score in verbal but a higher score in quant. Now you still need to get a good mark in verbal because we need to get about 24-25 marks just to clear the percentile. So let's target around 30 for verbal. This means that you're getting 10 questions correct, or if you do a few more, anywhere between let's say 15 to 18 questions, you can have a good score of 30 even if you're making some errors, right? So even if you have like a 1/3 or rather 2/3 accuracy rate, you still get a good score. So here what you're doing is maybe you're solving a couple of RCs and all the non-RC questions, or 3 RCs and some of the non-RC questions, and that is still getting you a decent mark of 30. Now in DILR, you again look to get a similar score. This means that you can't do 2 4-question cases. You need to do a 4-question and a 6-question case and get them both right. Or you do 3 cases if you can, and then even if you have a few errors, that is fine. So that's 30 plus 30, 60 marks. Now the remaining 40 odd marks comes from quant, which is your strength if you're going with this strategy. Now for you to get 40 marks in quant, if you do 13 questions and you get them all correct, that's 39. You can do about, let's say, about 20 questions. So if you get 15 of them correct, that's also going to get you above the 40 marks, right? So somewhere here is what you need to get. And please remember, you don't need to get to these scores or these many number of questions right now. By the beginning of November, if you are at this point where consistently you are getting a score of anywhere between 95 to 105 in all your mocks, that is going to be sufficient, right? So come up with a strategy in such a way that you're playing to your strengths and you're aiming to get there by the end of October or the beginning of November. Now if you're prepping and you want to practice some mocks, we do have a guided mock package. We have 25 mocks, 45 cat style sectionals, and for each mock you get a strategy session with Vignesh and me that's held on Sundays. So you take the mock and then we come in and we help you to analyze your errors. We sort of, guide on what are the best cases, what are the best RCs, which are the questions you should have taken, which ones perhaps you should avoid. And we really help you to fine tune your strategy, because this test is as much about concepts as it is about test taking strategy. So start on your mocks now. You can take a guided mock package, or if you already have mocks, start off the prep right away so that by the time you are in the beginning of November or end of October even, you are getting to this 95 to 105 type of scores, so that you know that you're going to do well in CAT 2022. Now the third strategy for you is, you're not really strong in one and sort of okay in the others, but you're an all-rounder. This is also a great strategy because we don't know which section is going to be difficult. If you look at CAT 2019 and 2020, for instance, verbal was difficult. But if you look at CAT 2021, particularly slot 3, the quant and the DILR were difficult. So if you're an all-rounder, you're getting good scores in all the 3 sections, this is the strategy for you. And this is also a strategy which will work really well in CAT, because no matter what they throw at you, you'll be able to come out with flying colors. So if you're okay with all of the three, then your target should be somewhere around 36 marks for verbal. So this means 12 questions correct, or what is more accurate is probably you do 3 RCs, so that's 12 questions plus a few more non-RCs. So even if you have some errors because of subjectivity like we discussed, you are still getting a good score. So you are able to get about 35, 36 in verbal. Similarly, in DILR, you're looking to get a little higher than average. You're getting 33 marks. So 33 marks is, let's say, you are doing 2 6-question cases, or you are doing 2 4 and 1 6-question case with a couple of errors, and you'll get this mark. So you need to practice a fair bit of DILR for this. Practice all sorts of cases, take mocks, take sectionals, do a lot of practice. We do have a practice pack if you need extra practice. Otherwise, just come on to mockat.com and try the free quiz of the day. Every day there's 2 quiz of the day free, so you get 4 free at any time for you. So practice those and make sure that whatever cases there are, you are definitely able to solve about 3 cases in every mock and sectional that you're taking. And the last bit, which is quant. In quant, again, you're looking to get about 33 marks. You can see that this score is slightly lower than verbal. Reason for that is, it's going to take a little more time to get these scores, right? So for you to get about 11 questions correct, you're reading through the paper, you're choosing the right questions. Remember, at this point, it's not about going sequentially and, just tackling the first 11 or 12 questions. You have to do it in a couple of passes. Again, Vignesh goes in depth into quant strategy in our guided mock sessions and all of that. So you can sign up for that. But definitely one thing which you should do is go through the entire quant section and pick and choose the questions which you are most comfortable with, the questions which are the easiest, and the questions which are also, you're going to be able to solve quickly. So that way, 11 or 12 questions correct, or even if you are close to 20 questions, you're almost finishing the paper, but you have a few calculation errors or silly mistakes, it's still fine. 36, 33, 33 is still getting you to that score of 100. So these are the 3 strategies. Now you can adopt whichever strategy will work best for you. All 3 will work just fine. A couple of last points from me. Remember that the 99th percentile is only about 50% marks. So if you look at the last year paper, we modeled our strategies based on that, right? So 100 marks out of 198 marks. So that's almost about 50% marks. So don't get stressed out. Don't sell yourself short, and don't think that you're not going to get the 99th percentile. With good guidance, with hard work, with smart work, with a lot of mocks and sectionals, anybody can get to the 99th percentile, and I'm not joking. I've seen students with pretty low percentiles, get into IIMs. A lot of our students, they've come to us where, they've taken CAT before and they've got low percentiles. I've seen them work hard. I've seen them, learn from us and, inculcate the strategies and, get the 98, 99 percentiles that they needed to get through top B schools. So I'm telling you with confidence, it is 100% doable if you're willing to put in the work. Do not sell yourself short. Don't try to go for, at least don't aim for a lower B school saying that, oh, I can't get an IIM. Yes, you can. So that's the first. Second, play to your strengths. So you can take whichever of these strategies works for you. And definitely when you are, trying out mocks, try out these strategies, push yourself, have a plan for every mock. You can maybe look to increase your score by, let's say, 3 to 4 marks each time till you get to the 100 odd marks that you need. And the last thing is, be flexible in mocks, in sectionals, and most important in the actual exam, right? Remember, if a section is tough, it's not tough just for you. It's going to be tough for everyone. So the marks that you're going to need for the 99th percentile are going to be a little lower. We saw that in CAT, right? In CAT 2019, the verbal paper was difficult. So the marks that you needed to score to get the 99th percentile in verbal and also 99th percentile overall were a little lower than what you needed in the previous years, where the paper was a little easier. Similarly, if the paper seems easy, if you're able to quickly solve questions, don't stick to that strategy that I'm going to get only this many questions right, I'm going to get about this many marks. Try and attempt as much as you can, of course keeping the accuracy in mind. So be flexible, tackle each mock as it comes. Please take as many mocks and sectionals as you can and use that to fine-tune your strategy. And hopefully by this time next year, you'll be en route to an IIM. All the best.